should be better. Oh god. Am I streaming? Yes, I have. I have. Check on my... Yes, it says I'm live. I think I am. Hello, Susan. Susan. Yes, that's good. I already have like some... I mean, you can do.
I still got a little stand. You know the stand?
No, I'm fine with this camera angle.
Yeah? Okay.
Thank you for watching, Carla. Yeah, no, it was a wild night to actually be there and see how police treated different people. It was I'm glad that we actually caught quite a lot of I would say two-tier policing. I'm getting a warning. Yeah, my filter's bugging out. Sorry, this is my first stream, so I'm a bit... Why am I getting a warning here?
I'm not actually sure.
That's the studio they opened.
That's very weird. Oops. OBS was already open. I can't see that. Webcam, filters.
I'm gonna get my phone away because it's gonna... People are commenting on my stream and it's coming up on my notifications on my phone.
There you go. Was you open through this? There you go.
You were... I wonder what happened to Orange T-shirt guy. Oh, god, yeah. I doubt he would have got arrested. I don't think he was actually doing anything other than just getting drunk and shouting stuff. I didn't see him, like, become violent at any time. So... Yeah, but I don't think... He didn't get violent. I don't understand what happened to his shoe, how his shoe came off at that one point. I'm going to close the door so it doesn't hear you as well. Right. So I have two things that I wanted to look into, but one was requested earlier by... Oh, my thing's going a bit weird. One was requested earlier by someone on my community post that I didn't know about. It was a Brazil plane crash that happened, but I don't think they're here at the moment, so I'll leave that one for after. The other one I wanted to speak about is, I'm guessing quite a lot of you have seen, is the Leicester Square stabbing. I was thinking about doing a video on this. I'm not sure if anyone would be interested in seeing this because it's everywhere at the moment. I'm not sure when I'd be able to get the video out. I'd hopefully get it out tomorrow or the day after. Yeah, wait. I'm not sure if... Wait, should I see... Can you hear him on Discord? Because I'm not sure if I've got you... Discord audio? Wait, speak again. No, I don't... I don't think I've captured you.
To capture me.
Hello, there you go. I should be able to hear you now. Speak again.
Yes, hello. I am here.
You're very loud, I think. You just
Sorry.
went into the red. No, it's fine. It just went up into the red on my thing. There you go. I think we should be able to hear you now.
She's learning, guys.
Yeah. So this guy is apparently the person who did it, and I've seen. I don't know if you've. Obviously, you don't follow me on X, but I've seen quite a lot of racial baiting, at the very least, with people saying like, "Oh, the far right thugs are gone now because it was a white guy who stabbed that mother and child," but he's
Correct
still
me if I'm wrong. He was an immigrant, wasn't he?
There you go. I think they can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, I've actually gone on to. It's like what I said here. Like I put, pretty sure he is Eastern European, still an immigrant. Just because he's white doesn't mean the point is mute. The entire basis of why people were angry is that immigration has been unfettered for a while and something needs to change. I hope the woman and child recover. So everyone says like, oh, white attacker, a lot of races suddenly silent. But I don't think that makes the point any. I think it's still, the point still that stands, right? Like with people saying it's because he's white, the whole immigration movement is not applicable. So I think he's getting done for attempted murder. The only problem I have is I would have no idea how to say that name. There is a video I'd like to watch. I wonder if you guys will be able to hear it. I'll go on Google Capture. There you go. That should come through now. X that away for a moment. I'm not sure if anyone has seen this video. I have not watched this video yet, so.
Okay, the time is 11:38. You're under arrest on suspicion of GBH. You do not have to say anything, but they harm the defence. You do not mention.
It'd be silly
We're
not to
questioning something you later on in court. If you do say that, you're you're arrested. Time's ineffective. All right. Sorry. Yeah.
I wonder if you knew it's a bit strange to stab a random child.
A lot of people have come to that conclusion as well. He must have known them in some capacity at least.
We'll just start, if we just start pushing the crowd back as much as we can, please.
I would also be under the impression he was aware of them before that event.
Yeah, there's no way it was a random stabbing. It doesn't seem like it. I'm not going to come to any conclusions yet, because obviously I've not, he's a Romanian citizen of no fixed address. Maybe he lived?
When they say no fixed address, it's the same as when somebody, like a homeless person, for example, commits a crime.
Yeah.
They get considered no fixed abode because they
Okay.
don't have an address where they're registered to vote or live at that time.
Okay. Place the 11-year-old girl into a headlock. Wow. Okay. Members of the public intervened. London tourist spot. It could have been either a mental health job where they might have looked like his family, so he decided. But
I think, from my opinion, personally, I don't think it was a mental health issue as a lot of people would like to portray, but I think indeed that it was someone who's probably tried to seek asylum or has attempted in some way, shape,
maybe
or form to,
seek asylum
uh,
in some capacity, and it's
seek
not gone well.
asylum, and he's seen all the right wing or the supposed right wing riots, etc. And he's just kind of he has gone against his better judgment and decided, you know what, I'm gonna kill these people because that's the only way they're gonna take notice. That's what it feels like.
It does say, where would it? Officers do not believe the suspect and the victims were known to each other. So
Yeah.
it was.
Hey, it's Paul.
Paul, hello,
Hello,
Paul.
Paul.
Hello. Yeah. So I'm assuming it was a random stabbing, but I don't. Ion. How would you say that name? Ion Pintaru? Ion Pintaru? I did have another thing. Nice. Ooh, there you go. There was a video where people. There's the Met Police. So you've been charged with attempted murder and possession of a bladed article. It was initially believed that the girl's mother was also hurt. However, it was later confirmed that the blood from her daughter's injuries has been mistaken for injuries of her own. So she wasn't hurt, so he only stabbed the girl. Okay. That makes things more confusing.
It seems awfully well timed that the person who is basically being told the security guard is a person of color.
Yeah,
It seems
literally what I was
incredibly
about
well
to watch.
timed. Yeah, it seems incredibly well timed that after all of the riots, that the media would now suddenly have someone who is considered a person of color to
Save
basically
this child.
save them.
Yeah.
Seems awfully well timed, don't you
People
think?
are thinking this interview that I'm about to watch. I've not watched it yet, but I've seen quite a lot of things on X where people are saying it's quite fishy. That I need to sneeze, but apparently it seems quite fishy that he was just there and it happened to jump on this attacker. And apparently some of the things that he is saying, it doesn't kind of add up, and they just, I don't know, we'll watch it now and see, but I guess it kind of...
I heard a scream, and the moment I saw it, there was one person, roughly along maybe like mid-30s or early 30s, and he was like stabbing a kid. And so I saw that he was stabbing a kid. I jumped on him, hold the hand in which he wasn't having a knife, and I just put him down on the floor and just hold him and kick the knife away from him. And then a couple of more people joined as well, and we just hold him until the police came. It took like maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Police arrived, and they just took him into the custody. And the child, just like all my colleagues, they gave him first aid, and in the middle police came as well, and they just gave the first aid. And I just like tried to save her.
You just ran out of the shop and tried to save the child?
Yeah, I don't know there were how many family members are there, mom, I just saw a kid being attacked, and it was my duty to just save them.
Okay. I just saw a kid getting stabbed and I tried to save her. It's my duty to save them. So, I'm assuming... I shouldn't assume in cases like this because I don't like assuming, but I don't know why you would randomly. There has to be some element of mental health, obviously, but I don't understand why you just randomly stabbed an 11-year-old girl unless you knew the mother of some sort or they looked like someone that kind of triggered him off. Steps into how. Sorry, what? They're charging 12-year-olds now. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
Going to check this out.
One thing we've learned from this is that the media is not as scrupulous as we're led to believe, and that if there's a narrative to be pushed, they are well within their prerogative to push it, and they're happy to do so at the cost of life or other people. So if there's one thing we should be keeping an eye on, it's who can benefit from this news being pushed this way, and why would it be considered to push that narrative. That, from my opinion, that's, as regular citizens, that's what we should be looking towards now, is who ultimately profits or benefits from this situation being pushed a certain way.
Yeah, when was this? This was the other day, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Tuesday, that's today. I think this happened yesterday.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was yesterday that I had someone asking me on Twitter about it, if I was going to be covering it. And I didn't want to assume anything, because there wasn't even a suspect that had been released, or
they never even release the information, do they? They don't release it for a few days and let people speculate, which is the biggest concern, is the fact that people are left to just speculate this.
Yeah. So he has a Facebook. I wonder if I'm not going to go onto that on stream because I don't want to release anything I shouldn't, but that would most likely be a good source of information for me if I was to do a video, is to look into his Facebook and kind of see, because you can tell a lot from someone's Facebook.
Same with any social channels, right? You can see what kind of content they're posting, what they're feeding into, what belief systems they're bridging by being on the social media platforms, and who they're buying into.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the suspicion that this is very well timed for a supposed white person. Well, he's not supposed white; he is white. But for someone who's white to then stab an 11-year-old child after this,
in the wake of what people are protesting about.
People were protesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. People were protesting. Quite a lot of people were saying it's because of the Southport stabbings where those 3 children died. Every riot video I've seen, every protest video I have seen, has been anti-immigration. I have not seen one chant, one comment, anything being made towards what happened in Southport, apart from the riots in Southport, obviously, because it happened there. So people are going to be... I fucking feel it's going mad. But people are going to be angry that happened in their city. But I feel like all the riots and protests that happened after weren't because of that one event, but it was because that one event probably pushed it over the top.
I agree. I think you're correct.
Because I've not seen anyone saying anything about those Southport stabbings. It was sad and awful and should never have happened, but I've not heard or seen anyone saying about that crime was the reason that they were protesting and rioting. And the media seem to push this narrative. Like, look, the 12-year-old boy has become the youngest person to be convicted over a riot in Southport that broke out in the wake of the killing of 3 young girls. it wasn't. That wasn't. As I've said in my most recent video, they always seem to push this narrative that they're protesting for something that they aren't. They don't. They seem to gloss over and kind of hide the actual true reason people were protesting and rioting and angry, and they seem to, as I say, they push a narrative that fits the left side more, because if people read this news story and get angry, then
They get more clicks.
They get more clicks, and they can continue just being like, oh, you're just racist, and not have to, what's the word, they don't have to analyze,
Do any due diligence.
yeah, they don't have to actually like look into why people are angry in the first place and actually look at why people are protesting.
Well, as you
It's-
said previously, right? A lot of the people who were down on the ground weren't actually protesting specifically over the Southport incident. They were actually protesting over the lack of control of borders, the problem with immigration. That
Exactly.
was the overarching theme, is that we don't have control of our borders. That was the
Yeah.
overarching theme. Nothing more, nothing less. That was what people were protesting about. So the fact that they're so unwilling to even be aware that that is what the protest is for shows ultimately all you need to know about the narrative that's being pushed and why.
That's interesting. Tory councillor's wife appears in court. The wife of a Conservative Party councillor appeared in court accusing of encouraging people on social media to attack hotels housing asylum seekers. Lucy Connolly, 41, is alleged to have posted on X on the day 3 girls were stabbed in Southport, saying, "Mass deportation now, set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bastards for all I care. If that makes me racist, so be it." Okay, yeah, well.
Whoa,
Her
that's a bit
husband, Northamptonshire councillor Raymond Connolly, was in Northampton Crown Court as she was remanded in custody until September 2nd. She is yet to enter a plea to the charge. Yeah, see, stuff like that, that's just inherently racist. That is inherently racist.
that's cool.
You can't brush everyone with the same.
You can't tar everyone with the
colour.
same brush.
Yeah, you can't do that, because it just it does incite racial hatred. But stuff like that, I completely agree. Yeah, you should probably prosecute and throw the book at them if they're inciting hatred like that, especially someone who's the wife of a Conservative Party councillor. That she has a certain responsibility in the words that she says, and there's a certain weight behind her words.
Well, yeah, just like anyone else, they have a duty of care and responsibility to the citizens. And effectively, if you are showing no duty of care to one group or another, that's the whole point of being neutral, right? Is that
Yeah.
all citizens are cared for. Take Singapore, take Japan. While some people might say some of their policies are not necessarily good for the people, they really only care about the general health of the public and and its constituents. I think it's stupid for anybody to incite any form of racial hatred, especially not on social media, where there's millions of people that have access to it. And some people might not be, without sounding a bit uncouth, some people might not be in an appropriate mental state to be able to actually take that information and process it in an intuitive way. Some people, they might actually look at that information and come to a racist ideology because
Yes.
of those social media points. So if you're showing no duty of care, realistically, you are inciting the racial hatred. You are turning people one way or another. By being impartial, you leave no room for that.
No, that's exactly right. The thing that really grinds my gears is you're reading something like this and you're like, oh, these riots, oh, how awful. And then as I scroll down, more than 700 migrants arrived by boat in a single day. Surely, why would you link that to this particular news story? Like, stuff like this
It seems stupid, doesn't it?
And where are you getting that photo from? On top of that, are you just like putting drones over the ocean and like waiting for people to turn up on boats? That in itself, I think, incites hatred to the government. More than 700 migrants arrived in the UK after crossing the Channel in 11 boats on Sunday, the highest since Labour came to power. Are you trying to make people angry?
Well, it's like I said previously with the whole, there was a big thing about ISIS, wasn't there? And, you know, insurgents, etc. If you're going to keep force feeding it to everyone, of course there's going to be some people that start to react emotionally, because what you're doing is you are drawing on those people's emotions to get clicks for the news. So when people react emotionally to the information you're saying, oh no, you should have no emotions over this, they bear no responsibility, which is completely wrong.
Look, there you go. The total number of arrivals to the UK in small boats in 2024 now stands at a provisional 18,342. That is 13% higher than at this point last year when 16,170 had crossed. But it's 3% lower than 2022, which was 18,978 at this stage. The highest on a single day this year was 18th of June when 882 people crossed, while the second highest was 711 on May 1st, both before the general election on 4th of July. So why... I think things like this, I don't think they should be... I don't think they should be posting figures like this in the news.
They should, but with more responsibility. Because they leave it so open-ended, it's due to interpretation.
Yeah.
Right? It's left... When you have fanatics, and unfortunately, this isn't an ideal world, and there are people that are going to be fanatics and fanatical over information presented to them. When you have fanatics, you're going to have some people that will use that information as a weapon. And this is what's not being regarded, in my opinion, in society enough, is that information used improperly is a weapon. The biggest thing that won world wars, and one of the biggest things that people use in states of war and times of war, is propaganda and media to stir emotions for a certain goal. So when you have a subset of media who are pushing different narratives all the time, you're effectively weaponizing your readers and your viewers, because some of them are going to have extremely strong views on this, which is going to elicit emotion, which then elicits reaction, unfortunately. It's the laws of nature. Every action has an equal or opposite reaction. So if you push something for someone to get emotional and angry about, why are you surprised when the thing you tried to elicit in the first place happens? If somebody's angry because of the media you pushed, why are you surprised when you get the reaction you were looking for?
It baffles me, honestly, it really does. I'm going to write down this guy's name. Sorry, Mr. Burns.
Burnsy?
Burnsy! I'll write down this guy's name in my Word document, so I'll look into him a little bit more. Because I don't want to put his Facebook out there. Especially, like, one, I'd have to go on my own personal Facebook, and I don't really want to do that.
No, keep your data safe.
So I'll look into that off stream, but now we know that it was the child that was injured, not the mother. I don't understand why people are saying that, like, oh, the racists are quiet now over this, because he's still an immigrant. He's a Romanian citizen. He's not. It's still, the point still stands. It doesn't make the point mute. Like,
one problem that they don't seem to take into account: what counts as race? Because as far as I'm concerned, race as a whole is human. Obviously, we have black, Asian, Caribbean, you know,
That's like
Indian.
nationality.
Exactly. It seems the term race is being thrown around as opposed to nationality. And realistically, race boils down to a very few select groups,
Yeah.
but they're using nationality now as a fuel pot for racism.
Yes.
Do you
They're
want me to
like,
come
oh,
sort your audio out?
is it being a bit weird?
A little bit quiet.
Don't worry, tech boyfriend.
Sorry.
Let's have a look. Oop, oop. Let's get you right up there.
Is that a little bit better?
You are very soft-spoken as
Yeah,
well.
sorry, I'm normally when I do my videos I'm like right next to my microphone and
She treats it like a news broadcaster, so she has her face in the microphone,
like literally
basically.
in the microphone. Because I am very soft spoken. Even when I'm trying to be loud and shouting, I just don't have a very loud voice, unfortunately.
Which is beneficial for when she's giving me a bollocking, that's for sure.
The other thing I was interested in looking into, someone put it on my community post earlier, was this. There is a plane crash in Brazil.
Oh, I've seen this.
Apparently those who died included cancer doctors, a 3-year-old child, a lawyer specialising in lawsuits against airlines, which is really interesting, and a Venezuelan family and their dog. Local media and the dog, that's so sad. All bodies has now been recovered from the site on Friday's plane crash in the state of Sao Paulo. So that is crazy because I've actually seen this.
Cell phone video captures the airliner's final moments, dropping thousands of feet in just seconds, falling out of the sky over a residential neighborhood outside Sao Paulo, Brazil.
It was a stall. I think we can pretty much safely assume that.
Former NTSB chair Robert Sumwalt is also a retired 737 captain.
And you can see the airplane spiraling. That looks to me like a flat spin. What caused the speed to get so low to where the airplane would stall? That remains to be seen.
Look how close this person was to the crash as the plane comes down just feet away. The crash sent dark smoke billowing into the air as a fire raged in the wreckage. Voyapas Airlines says there were 61 passengers and crew on Flight 2283. There were no survivors. No one on the ground was hurt. The ATR-72, a turboprop popular with regional carriers, was traveling from Cascavel to Sao Paulo, flying at 17,000 feet. It was near the airport when the apparent stall occurred. Would the passengers on board know something was wrong at that point?
I hate to say it, but I think that would be a terrifying end of the flight.
This is what I've been waiting
There was
for.
an active
Susan's
warning
got the
for
plug for all
severe
the big
icing in the
cases.
area where the accident happened. That will be of interest to investigators because while this 14-year-old plane was equipped with an anti-icing system, that exact scenario played out.
So
No way they caught that on CCTV.
I think I've seen this before, actually.
Really? Was this the one you were going to do, but you weren't sure because of the sensitivity of the topic?
Yeah, I think I've looked into this one. It's really sad. I wasn't sure. Oh no. Yeah. Oh God. That's crazy. Yeah, I think I've seen this one. I do want to do a video on this case. It's really sad. Saboteur paring knife. yeah, I'm sure. Because she was from Lithuania, wasn't she? Her mother was. I don't know if she was born here. And her family was originally from Lithuania, but I remember that. I saw a CCTV. It's like body cam footage of the police officer that arrived on scene and tried to save her life. It was so sad.
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah, he's up for an award. It's sad. Whenever a child is involved in a crime case like this, it's really. I find it hard to do videos on it because it's. I remember
Definitely elicits some sort of emotion.
I remember seeing news stories about this when it came out as well, actually. She was playing with her younger sister. That's something completely different. I was like, whoa. Who was the guy again? Because was he not Lithuanian as well, or am I thinking that wrong? Him?
Excuse me.
Because I don't know if he knew the family or knew. Hate having to use.
It's definitely an
BBC
interesting
News and
case.
Sky News, yeah.
This is the problem, isn't it? We're funneled into a small group of media corporations that are owned by larger corporations that seek to suppress information rather than give it.
Yeah, from Lithuania. There you go. So it said the court heard Skibas from Lithuania came to the UK for a second time from his home country on 20th of July last year, and 6 days later was seen buying a saboteur paring knife from Wilco in Boston town centre. CCTV footage captured him walking around Boston before running towards the Lear around 6:15 p.m. as she played with the hula hoop outside the shop where her mother worked in Fountain Lane. He pulled a knife from behind his back before stabbing the young girl and running past an off-duty police officer who was about to follow but stopped after hearing screams. And then she was pronounced dead at 7:11 p.m. that night, so literally less than an hour later.
Ridiculous.
I can't. I had a. Did. What was his name again?
Building work going on outside of the protocol windows. Excuse me, sir. They're trying to do a lunch break.
Yeah, I remember the manhunt. That's what I remember. Her killing and the subsequent manhunt caused national headlines.
Ah, it's that one.
He's been handed in an indefinite hospital order due to his mental health.
It seems so wild to me that people can be handed indefinite hospital orders for such severe crimes. Because you have to knowingly go and buy a weapon and then use that on someone, you have to be in somewhat sane of mind to be able to commit that, from my perspective at least.
Yeah. I find it weird that the family's from Lithuania and he's from Lithuania.
Right?
Lithuania is it could be a complete coincidence, but
Now this might be a hot take.
Weird.
But there's a lot of
Lithuania and a lot of these places in Europe, as well as a lot of places in the Middle East and Africa, there is insane amounts of money in trafficking. And
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't know, because the mainstream media really don't want to don't want to push it, is that these traffickers basically indebt the people that they traffic for a better life forever, effectively. They seek monthly payments. They send people called enforcers to go and collect on those payments. And a lot of times people are either taken back to their home country or they're killed for not maintaining the payments set out by these gangs. I think that needs to be looked into more with these crimes of people that seems like there's no connection, but somebody could have been here for 10 years, living a very normal and happy life, come to a country they feel safe in,
Yeah.
and it only takes for them to stop giving the gang what they want to send another person they've trafficked there, hey, we're going to get you back out of the country unless you go and do this. So these people are desperate enough to go to gangs for these things. It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility for them to threaten somebody else they've trafficked for a better life, to basically throw away their life, or their family are going to be harmed. That's not outside the realm of possibility.
It does, yeah, Susan, you're right. It does seem very much premeditated. This interesting. So it says, I knew someone. They just said, "Come here, find a job," and that's how I stayed here. It's a nice, pretty place to live in, she says, of the town, which became a hub for migrant workers from Eastern Europe settling in the UK during the early 2000s. Yeah, this one.
Apparently, there's lots of Lithuanians, Latvians, and Polish living in that town, and like
So,
Eastern
yeah.
Europeans.
So it could just be a massive coincidence, but I just find it very strange that they are both from the same country, and if they're living in the same area, that they didn't come across each other at least once. Hi, Mr. Meatball. Like it could have been. It could have been a something to her. It might not have even have been like a thing for her, but to him it could, like, she didn't smile at him when he said hello in the street, or like he was a customer at one of her a cafe or shop at once, and she spoke to him differently and he didn't like it. There's so many things that I could go on a tangent here about, but unfortunately, like, there's not a lot of fact in that. Yeah, the I would like to see if there is some sort of connection there.
Well, like I said, with the trafficking angle, if there's people don't realise the rate that Latvian and Czechoslovakian and Polish that are actually trafficked to the UK. People don't realise how prevalent that is. A lot of Eastern European girls are they're trafficked for sex trade, and they're used in brothels, and it's very, very common, very, very common. So I would definitely think that that's probably something to do with it in some case, I imagine.
What was the other word? Rano. No, I've confirmed. Rano. Boston. UK. This person. Jeez.
What was the other one?
I have heard.
Ran
Yeah, so it says a man who bludgeoned his ex-partner to death and dismembered her body while their 3-year-old daughter slept has been jailed for life. This is something that I've not. This is something that I have not said before, but I've noticed, especially in my research. Lincoln Crown Court hears the wildest cases in the UK, I have to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because down in the southwest, you don't really hear massive cases like this. There was obviously Bobby, and there was Jake Davidson, but those are the only two that I can remember that ever hit national news. We don't get national news stories from where I'm from.
No.
In fact, I remember it wasn't like from my town, but it was like close by. It was what was her name?
It was like the shooting, wasn't it? At Plymouth. We only make national news when it's like a mass murder.
I don't know where it was. Is it Peyton? I think it might be Peyton. Her. I want to do a video on her for sure because she.
And are you with him now?
Well, I might just go and stab
It might be
him
Bristol.
again, but-
Alright, do not stab him again.
Bristol's wild nowadays.
Okay, so just listen to my voice. Okay?
Yes.
Stay on the line with me.
I am competent.
Okay, are you with the patient now?
Well, I'm in the lounge and he's in the kitchen bleeding to death with any luck.
Alright, so just stay on the line with me. Alright, madam.
I don't
How many times have you stabbed him?
I did the once,
You did the once?
and then he said I wouldn't do it again, so I did it twice more.
So, okay. So in total, how many times?
I don't know if anyone heard that then, but he got stabbed, and then goaded her on like, oh, you won't do that again, so she stabbed him twice more.
My word.
Like, you've just been stabbed by your wife, and then you're like still goading her on and like still being like a bit cheeky and being like, oh, you're not going to do that again.
Balls on him, I'll tell you that for sure. He went, you just
balls.
stabbed me. Go on then, do it again. You won't. She went, Biff, have some of that then. And he was like, oh shit.
I shouldn't laugh, but like in that scenario, why would you goad someone on who's just stabbed you?
Truth's often wilder than fiction, isn't it? That's the craziest thing.
It is. It's crazy.
Times?
3 times.
3 times, okay.
Once I thought I'd get his heart, well, he hasn't got one, and then twice in the abdomen.
It's sad because it's not at all funny, but the actual obscurity of it and how actually insane that sounds. If you told somebody that that had happened, they'd think it came from a video game, not from real life.
How calm and collected she is when the police turn up as well.
Under arrest suspicion of attempt murder,
Yeah,
mate.
that's
Under arrest suspicion of attempt murder.
serious, like.
You do not have to say anything.
That calm.
Did you hear that? You're under arrest for suspicion of attempt murder, and then she goes, hopefully it's not attempted. What? Because I remember when this went to court, she was saying that how he was abusive and they'd been together for years and years, like I think it was like over 20 years they'd been married, and she was like fed up with his abuse. But then the daughter came out saying that he never abused her. The whole thing then was they had like this give and take relationship where like she would piss him off, so he would say something to her and she would give just as good back. And it's like just a normal relationship where people argue. And you can kind of hear that. Yeah, exactly, Meatball. If you probably still attempt, as literally what I was about to say, you can hear that they just wound each other up more and more when he's like, oh, you wouldn't do that again, kind of thing, and she stabs him twice more.
That's wild. how Greta was out here, old Mildred was out here shanking her husband.
Penelope, like.
But old Penelope, she was like, "Do you know what, Marcus? I've had enough of your farts and your shit jokes."
And then he on the phone to 999, it was like, she called 999, so she's like, she called the ambulance. I think she called the normal thing, and then called the ambulance.
She snapped and regretted it 100%.
Yeah, but then on the phone, she was like, I might just go stab him again. And he's like, no, don't do that. Don't stab him again. How many times have you stabbed him? And she was like, once in the heart, but I think I missed it. And she was like, well, he hasn't got a heart, so I stabbed him twice more in the abdomen.
Oh my word. Penelope woke up and chose GTA violence.
Yeah, she was on violence that day. I don't know if the guy died.
I would presume so. Bloody hell. If she stabbed him enough. Who was it? 50 Cent?
Jackson. Yeah, no, he died. Look at him though. You can see that he's just like a cheeky chappy, and he's like one of those ones who are just like
cheeky old geezer. I bet
Yeah.
Meatball will look like that in a couple of years. It's crazy to me that people are full of so much malice
There you
in
go.
today's world.
He was like, she said, I didn't know if I was waking up to nice David or nasty David.
What about if David had dementia?
Mr. Jackson's daughter from his first marriage, from whom he was estranged, accused the defendant of being the abuser in the relationship. I don't know.
Hello, madam. Do you need to
This
step
whole
outside for me a
thing
minute? Can you come outside?
actually-
Yes. Thank you.
She looks like the type of lady to shout at a McDonald's server for forgetting
He
it's not
does look
ketchup.
like
colleague.
a Karen.
Under arrest suspicion of attempt murder, mate. Under arrest with suspicion of attempt
Oh,
murder.
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
You don't have to say anything.
Not
but
11. We've got
it
one
may
late
help
Thank
your
you,
defence.
Kirsty.
If you do not mention when questioned anything you later rely in court, anything you do
From
say may be given in
Pennsylvania,
evidence.
US, you know. Isn't that where Dracula's from?
Yeah. Could I get my coat? Just bear with me 2
No,
seconds.
why was I answered that start?
I admit it all.
I was about to go something.
I stabbed him
That's not-
once because he's a
You're Dracula and immediately thought of Palpatine. You will join the dark side, Luke.
He's an aggressive bully, a nasty, and I've had enough.
I'm
All
definitely
right, Penny.
going to do a video in this case, 'cause
I'm
there's a lot of
further arresting you for murder.
body cam footage,
Oh,
the 999 call. Did you hear that? All right, Penny. I'm arresting you on murder, and she's like, "Oh, good."
She just had enough. She just wanted the free square meals, and she was like, "You know what? I hate him. I hate him. I've had enough of his farts and his shit jokes." Big, get all that down you. I'm gonna die anyway. Fuck you, Richard. You prick.
There you go. Killed her husband of 24 years. So she denied murder but pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Love, you stabbed him 3 times. How is that?
And then he went, "You won't do that again," and you turned around and did it again. I'm pretty sure that constitutes murder.
She repeatedly refused to help her husband when the on the 999 call. So he was saying to her to do CPR, and then she's like, "No, I want him to die. I'm not going to do that. If you want him to survive, you better turn up."
I'm pretty sure that constitutes murder, love. If it was like accident, you had a snap, you'd probably be like, "Oh, sorry," and try and help it. But
There you go.
didn't see.
Bristol Crown Court previously heard that the killing followed a row over serving Bubble and Squeak with a gourmet meal bought for them by their daughter.
Wow.
So the whole thing was over what they had for dinner. The court heard Jackson then repeatedly refused to help her husband when the operator asked her to take steps such as apply pressure to the wound or throw him a towel to try and stem the bleeding. That is wild. I think it's crazy that people like this exist. with Mrs. Meatball being so stubborn that she's like, nah, you do it. I'm not doing CPR, you do it.
I don't even know CPR, mate. I'm not CPR trained. Do it yourself.
So we'll go back to what Susan was. I went on a little bit of a tangent there. That is definitely. I'm gonna put that in my thing, but that is definitely one that I want to do.
Oh, for sure.
We'll go back to the case that Susan suggested. So I'm really so I can't say these names. Kamil Ranozek.
Is that the Boston case, yeah?
Yeah, the Boston case. So he killed her after finding out that she had contacted other men. So she was on the date. She was on Tinder. Yeah, so he found out that she was on Tinder, and in a jealous frenzy beat her in the head with a weapon, probably a hammer, after returning to the flat he shared with her. Oh God. So he suggested that he's a poultry factory worker. So that's like chicken and stuff, right? Poultry is chicken.
Poultry.
Yes.
Avian.
Had used his butchery skills to remove parts of her body before cycling to Witham Way Country Park during the early hours of the 11th of November to dispose of them.
Jesus.
Her remains were not discovered until 3 months after the killing. The only evidence against him was circumstantial, with another of her ex-boyfriends also questioned. On the evening of her death, he claimed that he had been at a friend's birthday and found illness sat on the sofa holding a phone when he returned home. He said he was tired and went to bed and claimed that she had vanished without her passport, driving license and money when he got up for work about 3 hours later.
One thing I see glazed over these cases, and a lot in the media as well, and the public perception, is people forget the fragility of human emotions and the human mind.
Yeah.
And there needs to be more done for people to be able to control their emotions. We're in an imperfect world, and shit's gonna happen. It's like shit's gonna happen. The fragility of the human mind is baffling to me.
Unfortunately, the mental health services in this country is absolute shambles. So when people like this man, when people clearly need mental health help to try and regulate their emotions and don't get it, and don't have a good support system around them to help them deal with their emotions in a way that they need to, it does just, it boils over into gruesome realities like this. Yeah. I'm going to copy and paste his name because I don't think I'll be able to spell that correctly.
It's interesting, isn't it? Once you start a public discussion of these things, it's interesting what the regular kind of level-headed person is able to deduce, but people that are sat in positions of power can.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It
That everybody who you speak to on a public level, you go down to the pub, you speak to your parents, you speak to your friends. A lot of people that aren't radicals can see very clearly an issue and why there's an issue. And then people who are, you know, more radical or more of a certain persuasion for violence, or, you know, an eye for an eye, let's say, they say good, justified. Or they'll say, on the other end of the spectrum, it's never justified. I agree, violence is almost never justified.
Unless it's self-defense, I don't think violence is ever justified. Unless someone is coming at you to attack you and physically harm you, I don't think violence is ever justified.
That's where I was going with that, is that some people don't even believe self-defense is justified. And I would say, in a lot of cases, if there wasn't such a divide on the opinion of self-defense, as well as the kind of mental health implications of not being able to verbally defend yourself or physically defend yourself, stuff like this wouldn't happen as much.
America's not a great example of it because, you know, I think some states like Texas, if somebody breaks onto your property, you can just shoot them. But at least they've got a clear-cut definition of how they can defend themselves. If somebody with a weapon is threatening my home and my family, I am within my right to defend yourself. In the UK, if somebody breaks into your house or is doing something criminal against you, you're not within your own right to defend yourself.
No. You're not even... It's alright. It's alright. I will say that there's this website that I use for some of my cases that I find very interesting. It's called Uncovered.
That's wicked website.
Yeah, it basically it tells you about cases around the world of stuff that is unsolved. This is like the missing. So this person in particular, I was thinking about doing a video on because he went missing whilst filming a documentary. So I used this for my Kaisera case, the girl who most likely got killed by a police officer, and it got covered up. That one. So this guy here, Terence, he was a TV producer on set filming Discovery's Gold Rush, which I'm pretty sure is quite a big
news outlet.
No, not a news outlet. It's like a documentary, right? It's like about the mines and like I'm pretty sure we've watched an episode or two of it where it's like they go and try and find
like
the
price,
gold
aren't they?
and
Yeah.
He was a TV producer on that, and what he did was very so he notifies Raw TV, which is the production company, that he's going to go home that week to visit his mother who's sick. He tells his father that he's coming home on October 10th, so he had plans. And then on October 5th, the day after he told his dad what date he was coming home, at 5:30 p.m. he surprises his co-workers when he suddenly removes his radio and runs down the side of a steep cliff before disappearing into the forest. There are multiple witnesses. Associate producer Simon Gee says that Terence is seen running faster than he's ever seen anyone run. He's reported he's reported missing pretty soon after. I think it's like an hour after. By the film crew, and he's never seen again. Due to the time of the report, the official search for Terence is held off until the day after because it started getting dark, so they couldn't find. So it was. He runs into this. So that's where he was last seen.
Oh, that's the actual location of where he was last seen.
That's where he was last seen. He runs off this steep cliff down here. And then it says, due to time of the report, the official search for Terence is held off until the day after he was last seen. The Idaho County Sheriff's Office is called to do a land and air search party where Raw UK, where he works, also assists in searching for him. Search dogs assist in the attempt to locate him. They lose his scent when they reach the road that sits at the base of the cliff, so that's where they lost the scent. 2 days after he was last seen, officials continue their search. At this time, the search consists of ground searchers, search dog teams, they get helicopters involved. There is no... he just vanishes. They hired a private investigator, but no progress is made further, and he's to this day has not been seen since. So
that'd be a good cold case, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so it's confusing as to why, because there you go, that's where he was last seen. He runs off this cliff, and then the dogs lose his scent there. So that's quite a far way to go. On the map it doesn't look that far, but if you scroll in, that is a far way for someone to have randomly, and the fact that his body hasn't been found is quite crazy. I wonder if it's, quite a few people have said it could have been a publicity stunt, but he's nowhere to be found, and his family haven't heard from him either. So I wonder what would go through your brain. Oh, that's sick. Someone's made a fucking Instagram of him.
Oh.
I love that Susan and Meatball were just like joking with each other.
I'm stoking the flame, sorry, I'm such an antagonist.
I know you are.
On a quick tangent,
Yes.
I just had an idea, right? Would people be interested in, I'm just thinking for the purpose of Morka's channel, right? Would people be interested in the idea of doing a podcast style episode where we take information from the community and we take cases from people like all of you in chat, and we do like an hour and a half, maybe longer, kind of podcast episode where we break down some of the information that we've found, and then do it in a long form format, maybe for people to solve or for people to leave their theories in the comments and stuff. I think that would be personally, I think that would be a great idea.
Sorry, I was having
What
a
do you
drink.
think, Dave?
Sorry, I was having a bit of a drink. No,
That's
yeah,
all.
that would. I'm completely down for that. I think kind of like this stream is at the moment, but I would put it as like a looking through the actual evidence of cases.
Yeah, right, where it can
That's
be
available to the
edited.
public. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we kind of use the live streams for breakdowns and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll definitely put that as like a. We'll do something like that soon.
We'll work on that for you all, and if anybody's got Discord and they'd ever want to be guest features or they have theories, maybe we can have a viewer section where we invite people on to discuss their theories and what they think of the cases. I think we'll kind of liaise in the community tab section on YouTube and stuff. Maybe we'll make a Morka Discord so she can keep in touch with people through a kind of non-social media-ish platform where we can all kind of talk and discuss and come up with ideas.
I liked Susan's idea. Shorts are where it's at. People have shit attention. I know shorts are where it's at. I normally break my long form videos down into shorts, which I upload one a day. I haven't done it with the last 2 videos because it's been about the Plymouth protests, and a lot of it I haven't really been able to break down into short form content. But normally with my cases I do. I'm more into scary, interesting storytell content. Is that
Okay,
scary?
we can look at that.
Yeah,
we can look into it.
I liked Susan's idea where she said maybe you could do like a mini series about missing cases. I do have a playlist of unsolved cases, which is pretty much the same thing. It's where people have it in there. I put where missing people who haven't been found and there's no trace of them. I might make another playlist of just missing cases. There's the one that I did not too long ago about Sky Metawala, he was, if I remember correctly, I think he was 2 or 3 years old, and he went missing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
His mother, I'm pretty sure his mother most likely killed him. I don't think it was a purposeful death. I think it might have been an accidental death, and then because she had severe OCD, she covered it up, and there would be no there's no trace of him in the apartment because she had severe OCD. She would, when she was with Sky Metawala's father, she would make him eat out in his car and sleep, and there was no food allowed in the house. She would make the children sleep on the floor because she didn't want them messing up the beds. I do think a missing persons kind of playlist or mini series would be a good idea for my channel. It's annoying because I think, was it Lone Wolf, you just said why use Google. Google is annoying for stuff like this because you don't find, especially as an investigative journalist, you don't find as much as the information as you want because quite a lot of it can either be censored, or especially because of where I'm from, even when I use a VPN, I can't get on certain websites. So it's quite annoying. What's DuckDuck or Start Page or Brave? I don't know what any of those are.
DuckDuckGo is a kind of privatized. It focuses on privacy, but it gives you, a lot of people use DuckDuckGo for the dark web, for example.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a more private, more thorough search engine than Google. Google omits a lot of results, whereas DuckDuckGo actually gives you quite a lot of information that maybe you shouldn't even really have access to. But it's definitely a lot more.
I'll look into using something like that, but for the purposes of this stream, I'm going to continue using Google because I know it's safe, relatively, for...
Yeah, it's YouTube safe.
Yeah, so, but if anyone is interested in looking into missing cases, I'd like to put you over onto this website. It is, as you can see, there is a lot of cases here that, as you can see, this is the one that I've done recently with Kaisera, which I would like to highlight here. This case in particular I find super fishy because every single TikTok that I posted of this got taken down, even when there was nothing that violated community guidelines on TikTok. Even when I was just saying who she was, it got taken down.
Yeah, I remember that.
I said who she was, it got taken down. I said when she... Mostly Bing and Start Page Google, but they are privacy-friendly alternatives. Okay, yeah, no, I'll definitely look into that. Into using something like that, because I think I should be able to find a little bit more information on a search engine like that, because as I said before, Google can be quite restrictive with stuff like this. I only use Google because it's something I'm familiar with. But yeah. Kaisera, this is a very suspicious case because everything I've done on this video has been, I don't want to say silenced because it makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's been, what's the word? I feel like it's been covered up very well because I put a TikTok up of the video that Kaisera posted a couple days before she went missing, was of one of the sheriffs beating up her disabled brother in a wheelchair who was 15 at the Crow Fair, and they said that she was yeah, that she had posted that video. I got that video from another TikTok clip because that was the only place I could find it. I got that video from another TikTok clip. When I posted it with my commentary over the top, it got banned. When I
remember
tried to post who she was and what happened to her, it got taken down. So much of this case is made me think, what's going on there? And I also had someone commenting on my video the other day saying that they literally posted something that wasn't, I think he said like, rest in peace pretty girl or something, and that got flagged for hate on YouTube, when I've had worse comments than that in my YouTube comments that weren't flagged whatsoever. So I'm thinking this case is a sensitive subject, and whatever is on it is whatever's happening with this case is very, very suspicious. I would say, I don't know if any of you have heard of, what was her name? Around the same time as the case we were looking into earlier of Lilia, there was another case that was going around at that same time. I can't remember. It was like I think it was someone had gone into someone's house as they were running away from people who were trying to get them, and they ended up shooting a little girl. I don't know, I might be able to find it. To run from attackers. I don't know if it will come up. I think it was her. Olivia Pack. Yes, it was. This was around the same time as Lilia, and I don't know if anyone heard of her. So he had there you go. Joseph Nee, a convicted drug dealer, was chased into the 9-year-old Liverpool home by murderer Thomas Cashburn in August 2022. Him and his brother Jason Nee had been given 2-year gang injunctions. They're both prohibited from association with named persons. So she was shot in her home because a drug dealer had run into that house to try and get away from... Ooh. Cop was involved with a young woman who they tried to plunge murder in. Rachel Del Tondo. I'll look into that. Rachel... Is it her? Unsolved homicide.
You're like Nick Merrick's camming it right now.
Oh yeah, I was like proper in.
She gets very into these cases.
I have like autism level kind of focus when I, yeah. Jeter. Why does that name? I think it's because it reminds me of Skeeter John. Jeter.
Mate.
So did she on the show 48 Hours, which caused speculation about the case to run rampant. So did she? How did she die? Was she? Does ice cream connect to Pennsylvania murders? She was shot multiple times at the foot of her parents' driveway. There were no eyewitnesses to her murder. Yes, I'm using an ad block. I'll go away then, because I'm not going on your website. This one. This is a timeline. I hate websites like this, where it's like, you must be a member. She was a PA teacher. Let's try this one. 2018, no more than 5 years after the teacher's murder, the local district attorney has announced the prime suspect in a crime of passion case. But he says he lacks evidence to prosecute. Sheldon Jeter is a prime suspect, though we don't have enough evidence to make an arrest. We're seeking help from the public and we're opening up new avenues, such as offering a reward for new information. That is something so American, where they offer monetary rewards for information. I don't think I've ever heard of a case in the UK that they've offered money for information. Okay, thank you, Susan. Thank you for coming and saying hello. In Aliquippa, notoriously shady, this story always gets to me. So is it like, I don't care about how...
The UK judiciary works different, doesn't it? They usually pay to suppress information as opposed to actually pay to receive information.
On the night of her shooting, the teacher had also just returned from a trip for ice cream. Getting out of her car at her mother's house, someone gunned her down, firing between 10 to 12 shots in her direction. Neighbours reported at the time. Del Tondo was pronounced dead at the scene. I think people will speculate that there were sour feelings. How are there no eyewitnesses if people heard 10 to 12 shots? Because surely you would hear shooting and look out your window and be like, what's going on over there?
That would be the presumption, wouldn't it? I know for a fact if I lived there, that'd be the first thing I'd be doing. I'd be window twitching like hell.
Window twitching, like, what's going on? And then you would see, especially if it was at the foot of the driveway, the person opposite would be able to see quite clearly what happened. Following her alleged inappropriate contact with Jeter, she had become engaged to another man who police also questioned in the course of their murder investigation.
I'm going to stop dinner. Do you want the tandoori chicken salad again?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will start making the chicken now.
There were no eyewitnesses to her shooting, and law enforcement never recovered the gun. Claimed that the GPS and surveillance footage has built a strong circumstantial case that Jeter had a pattern of stalking his former teacher around the time of her murder, and reported that the district attorney said he plans to unseal warrants to that point. The district attorney appealed to the public for help in this case, saying his office needs linchpin evidence that would place Jeter at the crime scene, and is willing to offer an award for such information. I can't put him in the driveway beyond a reasonable doubt. Somebody out there knows something. Somebody knows something to affirm what happened. He's 100% innocent. A lot of the information connected to the case has not been released to the public. Okay. I will put that down as a Del Tondo. I never believed the story about the affair with the student. Yeah, so it says that she had alleged inappropriate conduct with her. So I'm guessing he was the student that she had allegedly been with. Which doesn't make sense, because if she became engaged to another man, I assume she was with that man for some time before they got engaged.
Well, on top of that, there'd have to be some sort of legal founding, no?
Yeah.
Because an engagement in a marriage is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a legal engagement.
Oh, that's interesting. In 2021, Jeter was convicted of the 2021 murder of Tyreek Pugh, 30, a close friend with whom he had gone out for ice cream before the 2020 fatal shooting. He was sentenced to life behind bars, but a hearing on alleged juror misconduct is pending. So, and didn't it say that she had gone for ice cream? She was on her way back from getting ice cream.
Ah, the old EDP line.
It's cupcake, not ice cream.
Oh yeah, it is cupcake.
You still have about the cop she used to
Love a
date.
gut feeling.
So she used to date a police officer. That's
Suspicious.
very suspicious. I feel like with him, they might have just been like, oh, she went out for ice cream, and that fits his MO with the other killing, so it must have been him. Because is there any foundation for them saying that there was actually some sort of romantic involvement? Because here it says she was intimately involved, so is there actual...
There has to be a foundation to that,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's text messages or they were seen together.
Let's see. Relationship. The relationship was much more than a friendship. Rachel was never his teacher. So he said it. Sheldon Jeter says that Rachel was never his teacher, but according to him, their relationship was much more than a friendship. It didn't start in the car. They had a relationship going on for quite some time. He was a star, he was an athlete, and most girls or women love athletes. Jeter's uncle, Michael Moreland, says he knew his nephew was seeing someone, but I didn't know it was her. He says he began to suspect that Jeter was involved with an older woman when the young athlete started receiving expensive gifts. But she's a substitute teacher. How is she getting expensive gifts?
Gifts. Yeah.
Christmas times 3 years ago, he had a nice expensive watch, and I asked him where he got it from. He said, a girl that I'm talking to. But even if true, the age of consent in Pennsylvania is 16. How old was he at the time? They had to hide the Jeter kid for a while because they thought the cops were going to get him. It was very strange. We're going to kill him. Oh, really? The fact that she was having... I'm sure the fact that she didn't tell her mother that she was having a relationship with a 17-year-old boy doesn't surprise me. Kids don't always talk to their parents about their sex lives, so I think it's possible. You want to bet? Rachel told you everything. Rachel told me a lot. Lisa Del Tondo, who insists that Jeter mistook Rachel's kindness as romantic love, says he became obsessed with her daughter. He came here one night drunk. How do you know he was drunk? Because I watched him leave as I pointed an air pistol at him. But he, from the window, pounding on the window, every window in the house he pounded on. Through his attorney, Jeter denies the incident, but Lisa Del Tondo stands by her account. After the release of the report, Rachel was finally finished with Frank, but Lisa Del Tondo wasn't. There you go. Lisa Del Tondo called John Paul, who runs an online news service called the Beaver Campaign, and said her daughter had damaging information about Frank Catroppa and claims of corruption in the Alquippa Police Department. Is that the cop that she was with? I'm assuming.
I would say so.
Spend some time in Alquippa and you'll be able to write a bestseller. At some point, then, did you start talking to Rachel? Yeah, Rachel was reluctant at first. She started getting death threats. She feared for her life. Erin Moriarty, isn't that the same name as Moriarty's daughter in Batman? No, not Batman.
Batman?
Not
In Sherlock.
Sherlock, yeah. Rachel Del Tondo was jobless and humiliated. She had cut ties with her ex-husband, or ex-fiance, and distanced herself from Sheldon. Rachel had become socially isolated. He made people take sides. Infuriated at what had been done to her daughter, decided to take things and turn to the media. Yeah, so the mother went to the media before she was killed. That could have possibly been the reason. She wanted to tell me she believed to be the. Yeah. Okay. So. Oh yeah. So it was before she died then, because it says Lisa Del Tondo put Rachel in touch with John Paul, and while the two never met in person, he says he spoke to Rachel several times, and she claimed to have information about city officials. Rachel described a city that was rotten to its core, a city where she said officials were being paid to turn a blind eye to illegal behaviour, but John Paul says Rachel offered no proof. I am not able to independently verify the things that I have heard. That's not the type of thing that I can report yet. She also told him that she had received death threats, including a text that said she wouldn't live to see the end of 2018, and she feared she was being followed by the police. I know my Rachel was afraid of them, that the Alcappa police were stalking her. Balcresto's theory was that Frank Catroppa had something to do with it. Okay. At any point, did you have Rachel followed? Did you follow Rachel? No, that's ridiculous. It's just Rachel. Like, she says things that are not exactly true, maybe just trying to discredit me. She began speaking to the Pennsylvania police about what 48 hours has confirmed to be an ongoing investigation into possible corruption in the city of Alcappa, its police department, and Frank Catroppa's business dealings. She told me that they were asking questions about Frank, and she said that she didn't tell them a lot, but she knew she was at some point going to have to tell them more. I don't know what she could have possibly told them. How could I do corruption? I'm not a city official. I'm not a I'm not a police officer. If the things that she said proved true, they would be problematic for him. That all being said, I continue to believe that what led to her death was the choices that she made in her personal life.
The very victim blamer mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very victim blamer mindset. We know that the American police are privy to quite a lot of corruption and taking bribes and
100%.
various other things, and they're involved in what some people call state-sanctioned killings, where people are basically murdered under the guise of this was a dangerous person, when in fact this person helped dirt on the police in one way or another.
So did Sheldon feel... Wait, this is... let's go back up. A winter turned into spring of 2018. Rachel Detondo was trying to put her fears behind her. She was spending time with Sheldon Jeter's half-brother, then 13-year-old Rashawn Bolton. He gave her strength. I don't know how. He built like, the Hulk. Maybe that's why she felt safe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's why, but she felt safe with him. Rachel's mother says the friendship did nothing but anger an already obsessed Sheldon. How did Sheldon feel when Rashawn started going out with Rachel? Well, it wasn't like the papers and everybody said. Sheldon quickly moved on. When another brother is dating a woman that I'm dating, of course I'm going to get a little upset and ask, "Ma'am, what are you doing?" Okay, that's all it was. It wasn't all the hyped up stuff, all that much jealousy, because Sheldon had other women that he was seeing because of who he was. As for Rachel, when she wasn't with Rashawn, she was spending time with another high school student, 17-year-old Lauren Watkins.
These US cases always leave me a bit dumbfounded, because a lot of these cases I see is involved with minors. That's what's incredibly crazy to me. A lot of these adults are involved with minors, which in itself is illegal, no, in the US.
So, her therapist told her to stay away from Lauren. She was too young, but she said that she didn't want to hurt her feelings. On the evening of May 13th, 2018, Mother's Day, Rachel's prosecutor, Rashawn, was out of town, Rashawn was out of town, and Rachel decided to go out with Lauren. We would drive around listening to music, talk. That was like our thing. While driving, Lauren says they passed Sheldon Jeter in a car full of people. Did Sheldon see you? He did. He had messaged me on Facebook and was like, did I just pass you guys? And I'm like, yeah. And then he goes, what are you doing? And at that point, I'd stop answering. Lauren says she took Rachel home to pick up a sweatshirt, and then the pair headed out again, this time to Hank's for ice cream. She said, we're going to Hank's to get ice cream. Little did I know that was the last words from my baby. Oh, that's the mum. On the way, they picked up then 25-year-old Tyree Jeter, another half-brother of Sheldon. In the hour leading up to Rachel's death, search warrant applications indicate that Sheldon was texting Tyree. The text suggests that Sheldon may have been trying to track down Rachel's movement. Are you there already? I left. Who you're with? Hank's closed. It's gross, but I'm not sure she was doing anything nefarious. Yeah, so up here,
It definitely seems suspicious, doesn't it?
with Lauren, she said that she helped me with everything. She took hours out of her day to help me with my college resumes. Just the best friend that anyone could have. And then her mum obviously was worried about the age difference. So she was a substitute teacher. She probably shouldn't have been hanging out with teenagers, for one. But I'm not gonna say that's I'm not gonna say that's the reason that she was killed, because that's a wild assumption to make. But I don't understand how he is the one that's got the blame for this. If he's already in prison for a murder and he's got life in prison, surely if he did kill this person, he would just be like, yeah, I did it. Because he's already in prison. He's already going to be in there for life.
Yeah, well, sometimes, in some cases, they can get the death penalty for that.
Oh, shit.
So,
really? Oh, I always forget that America still has the death penalty. Is the death penalty still in Pennsylvania?
I'm not sure on state law personally, but I do know some states
different in
do
different
still
states,
carry
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in England, if someone has killed someone and they're in prison for life, and then it comes out that they might have killed someone else, if they have, then they're just like, yeah, it was
whatever.
me. Here's the body, here's evidence. But yeah, no, this is a really interesting one. Because he's black, the cops pinned him. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard a lot of, I've seen as well with the cases that I've researched. I've seen a lot of racial
prejudice in the American police.
A lot of prejudice in the police, because they assume, especially because he's in prison for murder already, and he's like, oh, he had ice cream with the person that he killed. And then she went and got ice cream, so it must have been him. There's a connection there. Your state, so Pennsylvania doesn't execute. So he could. So if it was him, he could just be like, "It was me."
He could have confessed.
How old is he? Because if he was, what's his name, Sheldon Jeter.
There definitely is a lopside towards. Oh shit!
So
from what I've seen in the American media, there is a lopside towards justice when it comes to ethnic minority groups. They definitely seem to hammer home that it's more possibly him because of the crime statistics that they claim to have and the crime statistics they use. It's an easy get out of jail free card. Ultimately, if a cop kills someone, it's very easy for them to blame the young black guy who the perception is they're criminals. So it's an easy get out of jail free card and a scapegoat for another police murder, that's for sure.
So without the possibility of parole, yeah, so he's just in prison for life then. Because I was trying to see if, like, because in England we have, when you get life in prison, you have a minimum term you have to spend, whether that be like 20 years, 22 years. So my thinking was that, like, he could just say, oh, it wasn't me, and then
And there was a possibility of
there's
parole.
a possibility of parole when he's like 50 because he's 30 now, so he could get out at some point. But it says life in prison without the possibility of parole. So I'm assuming he's in jail until he dies.
Yeah.
He's found guilty of murdering his friend.
Well, from the information we've got, there's a lack of motive, as far as I'm concerned. There's a complete lack of motive when you read that
Well, just 'cause-
information. That
Yeah, it says that she started dating his half brother, but that doesn't seem like motive for me, especially if there was no like a relationship like that beforehand. Especially since the mother is saying that there was a friendship there, but that it was nothing more than a friendship, which I'm inclined to believe purely because she was friends with another 17-year-old girl. So it wouldn't surprise me if she was doing the same thing for Sheldon, doing like the college resumes, just like hanging out with him, and he might have taken that like as like a, unless he took that as like, oh, she likes me. But if she was in a relationship with this cop, if she was in a relationship with this cop, and then did they break the engagement off? That's something to
definitely want to delve into, isn't it?
That's definitely one that I'll look into, because that's really interesting, that one. I like cases where there's a bit of complexity to it, because it gives me a lot to research and a lot to kind of question.
She's nothing if not thorough, that's for sure. Whilst we're on a bit of a kind of wind down as well, dinner will be ready in 20 minutes or so. So for the people that are here, she'll either resume afterwards, or we'll pull another live stream with all of your content ideas, like the podcast, the shorts, the mini series and stuff. So she did break it off.
She did break it off. So she broke it off with him, and then
is that
was
motive
saying,
enough? Though?
But then was saying that her mother got in touch with media, and then got her in touch with media, where she was saying that he is corrupt, but he was saying that he's not a police officer. So is he a police officer or is he not? That's
information that needs researching, isn't it?
What was his name? Frank Katroppa.
Oh, I love a chippy for tea. I'm trying to lose weight at the moment. If you looked at my fridge, you'd probably vomit.
Oh.
It's literally just salad, fruits, and vegetables at the moment. I feel like a fucking rabbit. There's a bit of meat in there, some black pudding sausages and that, some eggs, turkey bacon, because I've got fatty liver, so I can't eat normal bacon. It's actually not that bad, to be fair. I was a cop. Okay. So it turns out it's not. Pennsylvania.
So why was he saying he's not a cop?
There you go, ex-fiance on Penn Live. He voluntarily went to the police. So that bottom one. The bottom one, on the bottom of the search page. PennLive.com.
Is his Penn Live?
Oh, yeah.
She was suspended from her teaching job.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause expletives. It's a necessary evil for weight loss, unfortunately. I need to get me belly back to normality. It was her birthday recently, so we've had a bit of a splurge.
Had a bit of a food splurge. Open the buffet. Fat man lives matter.
I know, man. I feel the pain. As a fellow fat man, it's sacrilege. But I need to lose a bit of weight before my birthday and Christmas, because it's just before Christmas. So I plan on having a very, very fat man experience on the run up to Christmas after my birthday.
He is hoping for justice.
Try not to grow boobies. That's the key.
Yeah, so I don't think it actually says. They broke up over a year ago. They'd been together for 8 years. It doesn't say what his job was.
That's a strange thing to omit, isn't it? Meatball. She loves that form of exercise, that's for sure.
Hey.
Keeps me on my toes.
Please.
She likes it when I get all healthy because there's lots of excuses to exercise.
Is that it? Issue for cop's wife's Facebook. Tyree Jeter, that's the person that he killed, wasn't it?
Jeter was the kid, wasn't it?
No, it says Tyree Jeter. That was the person. Am I
Oh,
wrong?
that was her.
Was that not that was the person that
Tyree Jeter.
Sheldon Jeter supposedly killed? Was I wrong in that? Oh no, it was Tyreek Pugh. That was just really. That name is.
Bro is built like a machine. Look at the size of him.
What, him?
Yeah, he's an absolute unit.
That's who she was seeing. That's
okay.
who she was seeing, Rashawn Bolton. That, to be fair, it did. They were saying he was built like the Hulk, and that's why she felt safe.
How dare you, mate? How dare you? I've lost 10 kilos, thank you very much. I've done plenty of exercise.
So she was. The engagement to him was called off a few months after she was caught in a steamed up car with a teenage boy.
Oh, okay. Something was definitely going on there then. We got 15 minutes on that tandoori chicken for the salad.
That's fine. That.
You cheeky bastard. Yeah, I walk in with a bottle of Caesar dressing and a salad leaf covering me bits and bobs and say, "You ordered meat and 2 veg, my love?"
Yeah, this is interesting because it doesn't say. I can't find, just off a quick search, I can't find what anything that says that he was a police officer. So I would like to, not that I don't believe you, Michelle, because I do, but I'd like to see in what capacity, like what kind of police officer he was, because there's obviously, he could be a detective, he could just be like a normal, like, patrol officer.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to delve into that one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that...
Maybe that's when we could long form and do a podcast kind of breakdown where we both go through the information, and then maybe you can do a long form video on it.
I'll look up what evidence I can find, because it says that quite a lot of that's connected to this case hasn't been released to the public. So whether more comes out by the time that we decide to do that, we don't know. But I will definitely investigate this one further. Because look, Franco Tropper's business dealings. So is he?
It's not a bad idea, actually. Someone from the Daily Mail did the story. Maybe you can do a press release, or kind of press information release, and see if you can get the information that way.
Yeah, I think that was what I was just on. I was on the Daily Mail, I'm pretty sure. Daily Mail, there you go. Yeah, I will say the amount of times I have tried to get any information from places like the Daily Mail, I just don't get a reply. I'm not a big enough channel for them to even consider at the moment, but
yeah.
Hopefully in the future that will change.
Oh, we're very familiar with the Daily Mail.
I need a little bit more clout apparently for them to actually consider even replying to me. But Sorry.
Acts and things that you can use even as a public citizen. So we'll kind of look into all routes for that. The fact nobody locally delved into it is suspicious to me.
Yeah, I will commend her mother for keeping that. So for keeping the conversation going, because with cases like this, if you don't have someone who's advocating for justice for the victim, it will just get pushed under the rug and people will forget about it.
Yeah, as soon as you stop talking, it goes away. Unfortunately, this seems to be the overarching theme with a lot of these cases, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. The other case I'm definitely going to look into is this one. This is the case where a drug dealer ran into her home to get away from his attackers, and his attacker tried to shoot the attacker tried to shoot him and shot the 9-year-old girl instead. So I remember this was a massive manhunt for him. Like, it was all over the news. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I've seen a lot of cases where, like, the Justice Department and the police in America have been nothing less than shady. Like, I could probably look up so many cases where the police have done some form of suspicious dealings during the investigation.
Well, they're actively obstructing justice, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're the ones claiming to be enforcing justice and the law, but a lot of the times they seek to obstruct it, especially if they're involved.
It's not just
Should be landed.
it's not just America either. Like, I've had many cases here, like in the UK, where the Met Police especially are very shady. I've had there's a video that I have ready for and it's where a lady, an off-duty police officer, shot and killed someone in their apartment because she thought it was her apartment and she thought he was an intruder, and he was just eating ice cream on his sofa. He probably just smoked a J.
On a different floor as well.
Yeah, on a completely different floor. She walked in, shot him because she thought she was being burgled, but she didn't follow police procedure when there's an active burglar. She didn't call for backup. And bear in mind, her police station that she worked at was only 2 blocks away from where she lived. So she easily, if she thought someone was in her apartment, could have raped. She was still in her police uniform. She'd just come back from work. So she could have, reported that someone's in her apartment, and then by the time that she's realised, oh no, it's not my apartment, this is a different apartment, she could have called it off. Or she didn't have to shoot the guy. Like, he was sat on his sofa eating ice cream. She shot him twice in the chest. I'm pretty sure when you think someone is coming towards you, you shoot once, don't you?
Well, not only that, if he sat down on the sofa, what threat does he pose? Did he have a weapon? Was he brandishing a weapon? Why was there a reason for you to shoot first and not try and defuse the situation? That's what a lot of people do, right? If you had a weapon, put the weapon on the floor, get on the ground. She didn't follow any police engagement procedure.
He was sat on his sofa eating ice cream, watching television, and I'm not gonna lie, he was a big guy, and she's only a little woman. But there is no justification in my eyes for how you'll see in the video. It's ready. I just need to upload it. But I got, obviously, with the whole protests and stuff that were happening, and I kind of got distracted with that. But it will most likely, this video will probably be out this Friday. So all the cases we're talking about now will most likely be for next week's video. But she walked in, told him to show his hands. He's obviously confused because he's just smoked a joint. He's
in his own apartment.
In his own apartment, eating ice cream, watching telly, like giggling away or whatever he's watching on telly. A police officer walks in with her gun and is like, show me your hands, show me your hands. He looks over at her like, what's going on? He didn't show his hands, so she shot him. He stood up and she shot him because apparently he was walking towards her, when I think he just stood up like confused, like what's going on, and then she shot him. It was like a shoot first, ask questions later kind of scenario. And then she realised, oh, this isn't my apartment, called for backup after she had shot him, and then
Crazy behaviour.
Yeah, and then it came out in her sentencing, because she pleaded guilty to manslaughter. It came out in her sentencing, because the guy was black and she was white, it came out in her sentencing that there was a lot of racial and racist texts that she had sent to her friends in the forces, to her partner. Like, she would make very racist jokes. So they've put it as like she might have just killed him as like a race thing. Because apparently she was fed up with the smell of weed that would come up, because he lived directly below her. So apparently she was fed up with the smell of weed that she would always smell from his apartment. But it's unknown whether it was coming from his apartment, because the guy that lived opposite him was a drug dealer and sold weed. So there is a lot in that case, but I won't say too much because it will ruin the video that's coming out. I think for now we will leave it there, because I've got a lot of cases that I will look into over the next week or so for my next video. I'll most likely do another stream
either tomorrow night, or because you'll be editing videos during the day, won't you?
Yeah. We'll look into this stream was just tell me cases to look into, and I will look into them over the next coming days. So tomorrow's stream I'll probably look into tomorrow I'll probably look into that Rachel Del Tondo one a bit more on stream and research it a lot more, so I can write out my script for my next video. So it will probably be the same sort of time tomorrow, 4 or 5 p.m. And I just want to thank everyone who came to say hello, who popped in. Susan, Meatball, Michelle, all of you guys, thank you.
Lone Wolf.
Everyone, Lone Wolf, yeah, everyone who was active and saying hello.
And Paul. Don't forget Paul.
Yes, sorry, I'm not forgetting Paul. But yeah, thank you for everyone who came into my first stream. I will say that was pretty successful.
Oh no, Reaper just came. I'll tell you what, I'll make you guys a promise. I'll get her fed and watered so she doesn't get all cranky, and then I'll get her back on. I'll come
back on in about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. I'm just going to go eat my dinner and then I'll come back, okay? And then we'll look more, Michelle. I'll look more into this Rachel Del Tondo later, so we can investigate a a bit further.
Let's do some group investigations,
yeah,
eh?
we'll do some group investigations. So I'll, because I'm pretty sure, especially with like police and stuff, there has to be some sort of public record of who is a police officer. Like, I've found so many like public records before. Oh, thank you, Reaper. Unfortunately, this is the end of this stream, but I will be back in about 45 minutes. So, stay tuned. Don't. Hopefully, you can come into that stream. I'm gonna end this one now, but I'll be back. Let's say 7 o'clock, because it's 6:06 now. So let's say around 7 p.m. I'll come back on and we'll look into this Rachel Del Tondo one a little bit more and do some group investigations, and any questions that you guys have that might arise during the research, I will try my best to answer. And then I'll do my video on it for next week, so we'll go from there. But thank you.
Keep an eye on your notifications. Love you all for the support. Mwah.